The Therapist Who Betrayed My Husband, the full story. Hi, my name is Jamie. I am a writer. I used to be a full-time addiction counselor, and I am sharing my story. This is a follow-up to a video that I did yesterday talking about the care that my husband did not receive through the VA therapy. Some of this information may sound repetitive if you've already seen that other video, but it was brought to my attention that some of the things I said didn't make sense because I was telling the story in a way that reflected how I found things out instead of in a way that's more cohesive. So hopefully this will help make that story more cohesive, help you understand it. And then at the end, I'm answering some of the frequent questions that I got in the comments to try and clarify those. If you have any questions for me when I get done, I'm happy to try and answer them to the best of my ability. So if you're just seeing this now, I have been sharing parts of our story, but here's everything laid out clearly and in a much better order. I feel like the story deserves to be heard, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to the story. So who we are. My husband is a Black veteran who specifically asked for a Black therapist. This is someone he felt like he could trust to help him work through trauma with cultural sensitivity and understanding, and the VA was able to accommodate that request. We have been together nearly 20 years. I've supported him through a lot of his care. He supported me through a lot of mine. And when things started to go wrong, I had to really step up and be more supportive of him. There were red flags. At first, things initially seemed fine, but his sessions started leaving him emotionally raw, not supported or grounded. There were no safety plans, no suicide risk assessments, and even when he directly asked for help, she didn't refer him, and he met the criteria per VA policy for the help he was asking for. One thing that really stood out was she never noted that other people were present in the home during the telehealth sessions, and even though he was in a private room with her, that's still part of telehealth, just kind of doing an informal risk assessment in case the session doesn't go well. Her documentation made it seem like he was completely isolated, even though he wasn't. Another thing that I want to bring up is the fact that I found out that she was conducting her trauma therapy with no treatment plan in place, no crisis plan in place, like I said, no risk assessment, but she was also allowing him to experience that trauma for the entire 60 minutes of his session, meaning she didn't do what I would have done. I'm not a trauma therapist, but I'm an addiction counselor. Trauma kind of ties into that, and I would have done what we call aftercare, which is bring them out of those raw emotions, go over a crisis plan with them, give them some homework, help them go over coping techniques, give them the crisis number in case whatever they discussed in that session comes up throughout their week. She was not doing this, and it was not reflected in her documentation either. At some point during her sessions, she mentioned to him that she had a YouTube channel, and what we found there looked and sounded way too familiar. She was uploading and possibly monetizing content that echoed his private therapy sessions, his trauma, his phrases, and his emotional journey. And she was doing this without his consent or without telling him while still treating him. One of the big things that I discovered was she's had her YouTube channel for 13 years. She's never posted a video. And within 3 weeks of his first session with her, she started posting videos. Not all of them are about psychology related topics, but majority of them are. Many of them mirror not only the dialogue that was found in therapy and even in some of the notes, but mirrored the topics. And some of them were posted within 1 to 3 days of his therapy sessions. This is why I believe that she was using his therapy sessions for content, just based on a lot of the nuanced dialogue that we were having between each other during that time, as it was a difficult time for us in our personal life. There was a referral and a straight up cutoff. So she told him that she was moving and she didn't want him to lose continuity of care. So she was going to temporarily refer him out. Apparently she was moving from like one VA region to another, and that's why she said she needed this break. He was under the impression that he would go see this other provider and then come back to see her and continue therapy. However, was not the case, and he found this out literally in the very last session with her. They had 2 more sessions after he had started with the new therapist, and during the second one is when she told him this would be their last session because he wouldn't be able to see her and the new provider because it would be considered double dipping. While that's fair and that's understandable, this was not discussed prior to referring him out. There was no warm handoff. There was no termination of therapy. It was literally, this is our last session. No warning, no closure, nothing. And she pretty much documented it that way too. He was completely blindsided and he had trusted her. And it really kind of set his mood about therapy. What we did, we started documenting everything, her notes, her omissions, the YouTube videos, the timing, the contradictions. I have saved all the videos. I have transcribed all the videos. I have created charts comparing the videos to the therapy notes and the dialogue in the therapy notes to the dialogue in the videos. And we filed a federal tort claim against the VA. We submitted more than 400 pages of evidence. We reported her to the OIG, the licensing board, and members of Congress, just to name a few. This isn't about ethics. It's about patient safety and system accountability. So here are some of the frequently asked questions that I get. And I'm sure this doesn't cover all of them, but I'm doing my best. Is this a HIPAA violation? I believe it is. I found case law that I believe supports that, but honestly, I'm not a lawyer. It's not for me to decide. It's for the courts to decide, which is why I filed the claim and showed my substantiating evidence, what I believe is substantiating, along with some case law that demonstrates this is possibly HIPAA violation. This is not the only claim that I've made. That is just the claim that kind of started me on this journey. Who have you reported this to? I've reported to the Licensing Board, Office of the OIG, which is the Inspector General, Office of General Counsel, congressional offices, senators, congressmen, the president, anybody and everybody that I can submit it to. If somebody suggests something I haven't tried yet, I do that also. Pretty much anyone that I believe may have jurisdiction over the matter, I have reported this to. And this isn't really so much about the claim as much as it is about other veterans' safety. I feel like if this could happen to him and it sent him into clinical decompensation, which means his condition worsened under her care, that is like a big concern for other veterans who may be under her care. Are you doing this for money? No. Money won't undo the damage that she caused. In fact, her negligence ended up costing us emotionally, financially, and psychologically. This isn't about profit, it's about the principle. Why won't you say her name? Because we filed a federal tort claim, and until that's resolved, I have to be extremely careful about what I say. But I will name her publicly when that process is over, if I can. How did you miss the red flags? We were under an enormous amount of stress due to other family issues that were going on at the time for both of us. We were a blended family, and between us, we have 7 children. I was taking care of my grandmother with dementia, who was at the end of her life. Many things were bogging us both down. And so, yeah, that's how I missed a lot of the signs. The changes in him were also so gradual that I didn't fully recognize them until months after the therapy ended. And I'm not sure that I would have recognized them even if we weren't bogged down in stress, because it was literally that gradual. Once I did see the change, I couldn't unsee it, and I felt terrible for not catching it sooner. What do you actually want from this? I want awareness. I want accountability. I want systemic change. Veterans and everyone receiving mental health care or medical care, dental care, whatever it is, you deserve to feel safe, respected, and heard, and you also deserve privacy. This may have happened inside the VA, but the problem is much bigger than that. And one of the comments that I've gotten a lot is, well, if it's for educational purposes, you can't do anything. Okay, so that can vary from location to location, but I believe the VA policy is you have to have patient consent if you're going to share anything that even closely resembles their story, even if you de-identify them. This is not about care. It's not about clout. It's not about harm. It's not about hype. It's about justice, not revenge. I'm going to keep telling the truth until something changes. It's really important to me that we take care of people with mental health issues. I am tired of seeing people get hurt because people are unable to get the proper care, or they get the proper care and they get burned by it. I'm just not okay with it. I'm extremely passionate about the mental health field in general, because even though I'm not in it anymore, I write a lot about it. It's something I can talk about for hours. And so when I got into his chart and picked everything apart, I was livid. I hope this was able to answer some of your questions. If you have more, again, comment below. I'll do my best to answer them.